All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to decode the Doric order. It's one of the most powerful and, honestly, most influential architectural styles in all of history.
You know that feeling when you look at certain buildings, maybe a big bank, a courthouse, or a museum? There's just this sense of awe, right? A feeling of strength, of order, of permanence. So what is it about this ancient style that communicates so much without saying a single word?
Well, the secret, it's a system. It's not just a random collection of pretty parts. It's a very precise architectural code that's thousands of years old. It's called the Doric order, and today we are going to decode it piece by piece. So, let's start our journey at the very foundation of the structure, with its most recognizable and, iconic element, the column.
The main body of the column is called the shaft, and it's defined by these beautiful vertical grooves or flutes. Now, these aren't just for decoration. They're actually masterful at catching the light and creating these deep shadows, which kind of tricks your eye and makes this massive stone column feel even taller and more elegant than it already is.
As we move up the shaft, we get to the very top, the necking. See these thin little rings? They're called annulets. They act like a perfect collar, creating this really crisp, clean separation between that tall shaft and the capital that it's holding up. Okay, now this part is the echinus, and it's brilliant. Seriously, the best way to think of it is as a strong stone cushion. See how it flares outwards? That is such a clever visual trick. It makes it look like it's literally compressing under the immense weight it's holding, its strength made visible.
And finally, crowning the whole capital is the abacus. It's just a simple, unadorned square slab, but its job is absolutely crucial. It provides this broad, stable platform that transfers the entire building's weight right down through the column. And with that, our column is complete.
All right, so from the top of our brand new columns, we now move up into the entablature. This is the complex horizontal section that, well, it really tells a story in stone. The first layer here is the architrave. This is the main structural beam that spans from one column to the next. You can think of it as a direct stone descendant of the heavy wooden beams that were used in earlier temples. And it's capped by this thin, raised band called the taenia, which just creates a really crisp dividing line. Now look closely right underneath that taenia. You'll see these short little bands called regulae, and hanging from them are these small, peg-like ornaments called guttae. Now these little details aren't random at all. Each regula is perfectly aligned with a feature in the section directly above it. It's all connected. And here's a fun little detail. Guttae is actually Latin for drops, and they look exactly like that, little petrified droplets. But a lot of historians believe they're actually stone copies of the wooden pegs that were used to secure beams in the original timber temples. It's like a fossil of an older technology, preserved forever in stone. So cool. Okay, so moving up, above the architrave sits the frieze. This is the most decorative horizontal section of the entire order. This wide band often had all sorts of carvings and sculptures, and it really served as the building's narrative centerpiece. So the Doric frieze is defined by its very distinct rhythm. It's this alternating pattern of two elements. We've got the triglyph, which is a vertical block with grooves, and the metope, the flat square space in between. This steady 1-2 beat, triglyph, metope, triglyph, metope, is another one of those ghosts of wooden construction, with the triglyphs representing the ends of the old ceiling beams. And here is a great term for you to know. When those metopopes are filled with carved figures, people, animals, myths, the entire frieze gets a special name, a zoophorus. It literally means animal bearing. A perfect description, right? All right, we've built our support, we've built our structure. Now it's time for the crown. The final element at the very, very top of the building, the cornice. The cornice is the finishing touch, that projecting molding that just caps the entire structure. And it's not just for looks, it's also practical. Its overhang helps direct rainwater away from the walls below. Pretty smart. So if you look at the soffit, that's the underside of that cornice, you'll see these projecting flat blocks called mutules. And notice the alignment. Again, it's all about alignment. Each mutual is positioned directly over a triglyph in the frieze right below it. It creates this perfect vertical line of sight. And this is where the system's logic just really shines. Remember those guttae, the little drops from way down on the architrave? Well, they're back, hanging right from the mutules. This repetition is absolutely not an accident. It's a deliberate choice that visually unifies the entire design, from top to bottom. It's genius. So we've journeyed from the ground all the way up to the roof. We've decoded all the individual parts. Now, let's put it all together and see the complete system at work. So when you boil it all down, it's three main zones. First, you have the powerful column, which provides all the support. Second, you get the elaborate entablature, which carries the structure and tells the story. And third, the cornice provides the crown. That's it. Support, story, and crown. The key takeaway here is this. The Doric order isn't just a shopping list of architectural parts. No way. It's a complete visual language, where every single element relates to every other element. That feeling of strength and harmony you get, it is not an accident. It's the direct result of a design built on these timeless principles of logic, proportion, and order. Which, brings us all the way back to our first question. Why does it still feel so powerful? Well, maybe it's because its logic is so clear, its proportions are so balanced, and its structure is just so honest. It's an architectural code that, once you learn to read it, continues to speak volumes, even thousands and thousands of years later.